Hi, I am Iris, and I wanted to talk through a little bit of Musselburgh knowledge, or Musselburgh, as some folks say, or Musselburgher, as other folks might say. So the Musselburgh Hat by Isolde Teague is a super popular phenomenon of a pattern. There are thousands of projects on Ravelry. It's an incredibly versatile beanie, reversible hat, and it's one of those patterns that's really addictive. People knit these hats more than once. And part of it is that it's kind of a fun, unusual little way to start a hat that a lot of us haven't experienced. You basically cast on in a pinhole cast on and then do a bunch of increases to create the crown of your hat. And then you knit straight and make this like jelly bean pattern. And at the other end, you are decreasing in the manner that you began. So I've learned a couple of things about Musselburgh. I'm not an expert. There are many people on YouTube who have knit way more than I have. But this was my first. This was my first Musselburgh, and I purchased the yarn at a yarn festival, so it was sort of this fun way to memorialize that trip. And so I put it on, and it's kind of like a little bit slouchy, which is fine. I can also wear it with the brim up, and it is still pretty good. It doesn't quite cover all the way my ears, and as you can see, there's some excess fabric. Now, this was the knitter's fault, mine. I did not trust the designer. In the pattern, it recommends a 20% negative ease for choosing your size. So what that means is for my head, which I consider to be kind of a large size head, my head is about 22 inches. And so 20% negative ease means I'm sizing down to what will be a hat circumference of 18 inches, which just seemed crazy talk for me. That seemed wild. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. It just seemed like, no way, that's not gonna work for me. Maybe it works for other people. As it turns out, what happened was it created a hat that's a little more looser fitting. The wind is gonna blow right through this baby because there's all this room. On the other hand, it's still a great hat. I love it. I wear it all winter. I love it reversed with this little bit of mohair glow for a really bright and cheerful look. I also sort of did a fade up to the crown, and for fun, I can roll up the rainbow brim. So it's still a great hat. I love it. For my second Musselburgh, I followed the pattern. And this, I should say, this one was knit in fingering weight yarn. So I chose like a sock set, and then a main color sock yarn. And then I held together on the inside with a mohair fuzz yarn from Wandering Flock. Very, very soft kid mohair. So for my second one, I chose a DK weight yarn. This was another yarn festival special yarn skein from a dear friend. And so I picked the right size this time. And so it's a nice, firm, very warm fabric. Look how this fits me already. It's like much more snug to my ear. And when I double it, wow, boy, that is some thickness. But what you might also notice is that the bottom of my ear is still sticking out. So this one was better, but what I learned is that I really need to, now I can also style it so that it's a little like the brim comes higher in the front and on the side goes lower. So if I wanna like try to really cover those ears. But what I'm hoping for my next Musselburgh is that I add some length to it, because I did not. And so this hat is a little short. Now this is actually quite a common complaint about the pattern. Complaint, maybe too strong a word. But what I hear from a lot of people is that they don't knit their Musselburghs long enough. And so something like this happens where, hey, this is a fine look, but if I really, on the coldest Maine winter day, wanted to have a generous, like 2-inch brim to really cover my ears with 4 thicknesses worth of fabric. That's not happening here. So as you are looking at the Musselburgh pattern and you're looking at the yarn quantities, it can be a little hard to know, right? Because the other thing is that this pattern is written so that the top of your hat you cast on for and you do all these increases, and you actually measure your gauge on the knitting itself. You don't knit a gauge swatch in advance of starting this hat. This part of the hat becomes something you measure to figure out how many stitches per inch you are getting. And so the pattern includes directions for stitches per inch. Are you getting 5? Are you getting 5.5? Are you getting 6, 6.5, up to 7, 8, 9, whatever? And then that tells you some important information about number of stitches to cast on, etc. So when you're thinking about estimating yarn quantities, my best recommendation, if this is your first time around with the Musselburgh, is to add a little more than you think. Than the like if you're looking at DK, look at, let's say, adult medium, which is mine, and look at DK and look at kind of the range of yarn amounts for, let's say, you know, your average DK gauge might be a 5 stitch, or could be 5 to 6 stitches per inch. And then look at the yarn quantity estimation for that sort of range, just to be sure you're like seeing that. And then if you're like me and you want to be sure you have extra for a nice generous rolled brim, to then size add a little buffer in yarn. So I'll tell you what I'm doing for my 3rd Musselburgh. I fell in love with On the Round, Season of the Witch. Oh my God, it's just the yummiest. This is on Rachel of On the Round. This is her Nimble sock. It's a beautiful, beautiful blend of teals, of purples, of golds. So this is gonna be part of my Musselburgh. But because I wanted to be sure that I had plenty to play with, was concerned that this wouldn't be quite enough. So I'm adding in a very, very luscious special skein from Norway. A friend brought it back to me from her trip there. It's Norn yarn, and it's a gorgeous blend of superwash merino, silk, and yak. There's just the most beautiful little fuzz. So I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do with this, if I'm gonna be one side one, the other side the other, or if I'm gonna do one side striped. I don't know those details yet. What I do know is that 2 skeins of sock or fingering yarn are going to be plenty of yarn for me to play with. So that's just the point of this, is just to say I'll have plenty of play here, and I can, you know, color block if I want to, I can add stripes if I want to, and I'll still have plenty to add that length that I need, which I've kind of calculated out to be probably 2 inches longer than what the pattern calls for. So that's just a little bit of some tips to get your inspiration going. Go on to Ravelry and check out all the amazing projects and ways that this hat can look. It's really a fun one. And it's also just one of those ones that for the most of the hat, you're just knitting around and around and around and around and around. So it's one of those good travel projects. It's one of those good projects to just have for a meeting. And the only other thing I would say is it can be really helpful to consider the ways that you might like the finished hat to feel. And some people, you know, same on both sides, right? So this is my kind of neutral option, and this is my option when I really want to cheer myself up in the middle of winter. And the pattern is really ideal for those special yarns, special skeins that you might have in your stash already to mix and match. You know, sometimes we go somewhere for a souvenir type skein, and now I've got a great way that I'm going to be able to appreciate this yarn. The other thing is this is just such a gorgeous color that I love, but it's not one that I typically wear next to my face. So enter in the idea that this Season of the Witch is going to go next to my face, but I'll still be able to have the gorgeous gold as part of this hat. So, you know, get a little wild, choose a color that maybe you don't think you can wear next to your face either. And just know that it could be, you could stripe it in, you could add it as a bold color block in the middle, just have so much fun with it. So there's your Musselburgh little minute with me, and thanks for watching.